Okay, here's our lesson on systems word problems. I'm going to try to just pull together some of the tips we've talked about with word problems and really slow down and help you see how I know where to put different letters and variables to make sense of the word problems. So the first thing I want you to note is because we're talking about systems, we're always going to write two equations. So everything we have today is going to have two equations. For each equation, they may not be the same, but you have to pick a form. So for slope-intercept form, that is when you are given one rate, and you all are pretty good at picking rate. In general, you have words like per, or each, or for every, something like that. Those are rates. You all are pretty good at picking those. And then it is also going to give us a starting value or something about like the first value or the initial value. We're always going to have a starting point. So if we have those two things, it's going to be slope-intercept form. Standard form is going to happen when we are given two rates. Notice we have two different numbers that go with the variables. So in standard form, we have two rates for two different items or two different factors, and then we also have a total. All right, so just kind of keep those things in mind. That's how I'm going to know which form to use. You may, instead of thinking about a start and a total, it may just be that you notice if you have one rate, it's slope-intercept. If you have two rates, it's standard form. And then the last thing that we need to remember, once we write our equations, we always need to say, what do x and y stand for? That is very important when we're talking about word problems, because remember, we're going to need to go back and write a sentence at the very end. So we have to define what x and y stand for. When I say define, I mean to say like x equals the number of hours that somebody worked, or y equals the number of pencils that someone bought. Okay, that's what that means. So let's look at an example. Okay, the first thing I would like for you to do is pause the video and read this example for yourself. Okay, so the first thing I noticed, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, is that we have two different video services, which means we are talking, because it's two different things, those are going to be our two different equations. So the first thing I'm going to do, and we're going to do this together tomorrow, is to use my highlighter or colored pencil and kind of group each service together. All right, so like this whole first sentence is talking about atomic stream. All right, then my second sentence, Blitz video. All of this information is about Blitz video. So what that does is let us look at one equation at a time. So first I'm just going to focus on the atomic stream first. So if we look, if I underline my important pieces of information, they have a $10 charge for membership and $1 for each movie downloaded. Most of you notice, because it says each, that this is going to be a rate. And $10 membership, you may or may not notice that that's a starting fee, but because I only have one rate, that means my atomic is going to be in the format y equals mx plus b. So if I go ahead and write that, I've got y equals, I know that $1 is my rate, so it's going to be $1 x plus $10 is my fee. Okay, so I'm going to do something similar for the Blitz video. I'm going to underline and then determine what format I want to be in. So Blitz video charges $15 for a membership fee and 50 cents per movie. Again, per tells me that this one's my rate. Because I only have one rate, I know I'm going to be in slope-intercept form. So that means I've got y equals 50 cents, so 50x plus 15. Okay, the last thing that we're going to need to do here is to define what our x and our y stand for. So because it says, in each of these it says each movie, That means X is going to stand for the number of movies. All right, notice that that's for the number of movies because it says each movie, and that's what is with my rate value in each of those equations. And then Y would be, so the whole, just kind of think about what is this even asking. If I knew how many movies they downloaded, I'm trying to figure out how much money they're spending. So Y is going to be the total cost. Okay, right now we're just going to focus on writing. We will talk about solving tomorrow. The last thing that we are going to take a note of, just so that we know, kind of where to start, we will tell ourselves how we would solve this. So to solve, think about these are both y equals equations. So the easiest way to solve here would be to use substitution. So we're not actually going to do that, but we want to tell ourselves that that would be the easiest method in this case, would be to use substitution. All right, so those are the three different pieces you need. You need the system itself, what the variables stand for, and how to solve. Let's look at another one together. Okay, again, I want you to pause and read this problem first on your own. All right, in this example, they are not talking about him going to two different stores. This is not two different locations or incidents that are occurring. So I can't highlight like separate pieces to do that with. So I want you to notice you've got 4 numbers here, and 3 of them are money. Remember, the last one, every single value they gave us had to do with money. But here, not all of them do. So I'm going to kind of highlight just my money pieces first. So the jeans cost $40 each. T-shirts cost $20 each. And he is going to spend $160. All of those things go together because they are all money. So let's start. I'm just going to go ahead and help you write the equation, and then we'll see maybe where the other pieces are going to come from. So if we underline, jeans cost $40 each, T-shirts cost $20 each. Because of these words each, you should notice that both of those are going to be rates. Okay, I've got a rate there, and the 160 is going to be a total. Even if you aren't sure about if 160 is a starting point or a total, because I have 2 rates, I know that my money equation is going to be in standard form, so that's AX plus BY equals C. So if we write that, I'm going to have 40X plus 20Y equals 160. Now at this point, I'm actually going to skip down for a minute and go ahead and tell myself what X and Y stand for. This is pretty easy. 40 is for each, that's $40 for each jean. All right, so X is for the number of jeans that he bought. And then 20 is the cost for each T-shirt. So Y is going to be the number of T-shirts. All right, now let's go back and let me just kind of help you make sense of how to find our next equation in here. So the other piece of information that they give me is that he buys 5 items. All right, because they're saying items total, that means I actually do know what my other variables are. He is buying jeans and T-shirts, and he's buying 5 things in total. So again, because this is a total, I'm going to be in standard form. So I'm going to call this items, if that makes any sense to you. It's going to be in standard form, AX plus BY equals C. And this one's going to look a little bit different. I don't know how many jeans he's buying, so I'm just going to say the number of jeans, that's X, plus the number of T-shirts is Y, equals 5 total items. Right, there are 5 things in his bag. X stands for the number of jeans, Y for T-shirts, 5 is the total. So remember, we grouped all the money stuff together, and then the total was just the two things he was buying equals 5 together. The last thing we want to note is what method we would use here. So the method we would use, because these are both in standard form, the method we would want to use here is elimination. Remember, we would want to maybe multiply so we could cancel some things out. So that's a little bit trickier. See if you can make sense of that example. And here we're going to do one more of these together. Again, I would like for you to pause the video and read through this example before we start. You should notice that this one is very much like the last. If I look here, they give me 4 different values and 3 of them are money. So I'm going to highlight some things. I'm going to highlight my information about rope A, rope B, and then it says he wants to spend no more than $18. So if we talk about that, my money equation, I've got per foot and per foot. That means I have 2 rates. So this is standard form. So I'm going to write, I've got 0.60x plus 0.90y. Now, this time it's not equals. I know I have 18 over here. This says no more than. Remember, that's like saying not more. So it's not more, it's going to have to be less. So this is less than or equal to. Okay. Now we're going to, because this is standard form, it's easier to go ahead and define my variables. And you may even see down here at the bottom, they tell us X is the amount of rope. So you can just kind of make these notes on your own. Y is going to be the amount of rope B. All right, so now we want to go back and figure out how are we going to write this last part. And it says John needs to buy, at least 15 feet of rope. That's another total. If it's a value that stands by itself, we're going to be in standard form again. So maybe this time we can label this as the combination. Maybe that's a better way to say it. So my combination is again going to be standard form. Except this time my rates are easy. It's just x plus y at least. That term at least means it's going to be, that's the lowest amount it could possibly be. 15 is the lowest amount it could possibly be. So that means we want to be greater than or equal to 15. All right, and then our last step here is to talk about what method would we use to solve this. And anytime you have inequalities, it doesn't matter what format they're in, anytime you have inequalities, the only method you can use is graphing. There is no way to solve inequality systems without graphing. So because this is inequalities, we have to use graphing. I hope this has helped make some of this a little bit clearer, but we will keep working on this together tomorrow. Please, please come to class with questions. So put little question marks in your notes so that you can tell me exactly where you want me to start and what we need to talk about first thing tomorrow.